against Ultra Prime. The only real threat that we see in this team is Hacker's early game, but Smlz when he gets into a carry position. And if you get rid of a lot of these guys where he can take over on those late game carries, it becomes a lot more difficult for Ultra Prime to have these successes.
You said Hacker's early. I mean, that's early game, right? First pick Zhao is putting emphasis on Hacker, and that's what I loved in the FPX series in week 1. Hacker was a key playmaker for me, and his enabling of his solo lanes in ZS, in ShiauC was what made Ultra Prime formidable in my opinion. So I don't mind this. However, we look at what it's giving away. Again, the Lee Sin, again, the Diana. Two very big picks in the LPL right now that are always going to be responded. Even the Varus here is good enough considering that they've got jungle already.
Yeah, I like the change up there at the last second, taking the Varus, because you already know you're against the Zhao, so just go towards the Diana on this next rotation, and you're totally fine. And honestly, you don't really have to worry too much about like locking in some sort of top laner or any support, because there hasn't been a huge amount of pressure. Like, there's still a lot of big picks like Gwen that are still up and available for Zoom. Kali, again, having slipped through the ban phase, but neither team really seem particularly worried about taking that one up now.
Yeah, we'll see, because we know that ShiauC has always been about that Orianna. Again, I want to remind people, Orianna Rise has played the LeBlanc before, if this gets picked up. I do love that we are looking more at these assassins in the LPL, and that we're looking at LeBlanc being a higher priority than I think anyone could have expected.
Yeah, she's just come in really nicely. She's got great assassination potential. And when a lot of these fights are kind of decided through how quickly I can burst someone out, right? So a champion like LeBlanc is very, very good at setting that up and then being able to win out in the 4 versus 5. But as Hysterics is losing his mind, it is the Lissandra counter. Really, really good against LeBlanc. Very difficult to burst Lissandra, because she can just contain herself with that ultimate, but also she can lock down this LeBlanc when LeBlanc goes in aggressively and give the opportunity for the burst damage to be returned.
If anyone missed this, just a side note, just pick the other day, I'm going to absolutely lose my mind because I can't remember the matchup. I think it was versus Knight. It could have been, yes, it was Kryne, who picked it up into the LeBlanc matchup. Does pretty well into the lane, is able to neutralize quite a lot of what LeBlanc does. And LeBlanc, I'm really criticizing myself for how I say her name now. But the biggest thing, Dagda, is like ulti, lock LeBlanc down, and the follow-up damage that could come from JDG looks to be insane already. So I like this. Yagao's played it quite a bit in the past too. Let's cement the rest of the lanes though, because we do have a solo laner a jungler that needs finalizing from JDG, and they haven't lost the Diana.
Yeah, I'm actually more curious about the Ultra Prime bot lane here, because we kind of said, hey, look, we want Smlz to be the big carry, right? Well, Ezreal taken off the board, things that facilitate Nephilius or Jinx pick taken off the board. Opportunity to potentially go back towards something like the Kalista, but it's not really been the strongest, and especially when you look towards the ability for Ultra Prime to aggressively play these early stages, it hasn't really come to fruition. So, I mean, Sivir, true, yeah, we've seen him pick the poke Sivir before, where he's gone for that lethality style build, but unless that's what he wants to go with here, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, the speed up from the Sivir could be great. I'm just not as big a fan as against the poke Sivir, just when you're trying to answer for a lot of what Varus can do.
I only bring it up, and for our audience's information as well. I mean, it has been that Sivir picked up
go
before,
on. Yes,
but
let's
go. Dude, forget Kramer, Smlz. Of course he does this. He was playing the Cartha spot when no one else would. The man on your screen. What a cheeky smile. Smlz, going to see him back in action here, because this is exciting.
Oh, God.
As that tops it up, doesn't it?
So, one of the things Mundo does really well against is a lot of AP damage, because he can build an early Spirit Visage. An AP bot, an AP mid, definitely facilitates an early Spirit Visage. So, Zoom runs the likelihood of becoming absolutely unkillable this game, but like kind of looking across the board, to be honest, if you take Smlz out of the equation, there's not a huge amount of damage on either side, right? You've got some consistent damage that can come through from Hacker, but he's not going to be a big carry, same with ZS, so you're kind of looking on both sides of, like, if you end up in a situation where you get ahead, you just completely overrun your opponent by just sheer gold numbers alone.
Yeah, I mean, how do you get that consistent damage that's going to take down a Mundo, right? Usually with an AD carry, you'll be able to chip away, you'll be able to get that LDR or something like Sorelda's Grudge, right, Dagda? But here you have Ziggs, you have LeBlanc. It's about the burst, and if Mundo survives through it, you're right, consistency is going to be key, and he'll be able to go where he pleases. A big bit of info for anyone who hasn't seen Mundo yet. Everything pretty much the same. You know, W reworked. You look at E's different. R's a little bit different as well. Okay, not everything's the same, but just think about old Mundo. And
the feel is the same though, right?
Yeah.
Like, it feels very similar.
He gets more benefit out of Q though. If he hits a champion, it's 100% of their health back, which is before you had to kill the champion or you had to kill the minion to actually get all of your HP back pretty much. So more benefits for champion v champion trading as, dude, we've got a really fun draft going into game 2. I'm glad. I don't care who wins. I just want to see this League of Legends because Ziggs, Mundo, the first pick Zhao, LeBlanc versus Lissandra. What year is it?
Yeah, we're taking a trip down memory lane here. Even the Lee Sin going back in towards the jungle, right, towards Kanavi.
Yeah.
But I think there's a couple of different interactions that we have to start to look at, right? As we start to lead in towards these team fights. Because we're talking about Zoom, right? Well, a champion that builds a massive amount of health can be pretty good for ZS to slam into the opponent. So certainly we got to watch out for Zoom's positioning. And one of the big things that we've seen when we see RA with Q playing this Mundo pick a lot is sometimes you kind of just ignore the Mundo because he doesn't have CC, he doesn't have a huge amount of lockdown, and yeah, he deals a bit of damage, but he's more about being that super tank. So I certainly think for this game, there's always going to be an argument of, hey, yeah, well, if we just don't go towards Zoom, kill Loken, well, that's like 70% of the damage from JDG just gone. So I don't think for this one, JDG are just a case of, oh yeah, well, Zoom scales late and we win. Zoom can just become ignored and then eventually end up in these 3v4 5s that just delete him.
Just watching this level 1 though, Dagda. I mean, Zoom, remember, he goes where he pleases, so even if ZS has started E, it won't matter as Kanavi's coming up. ZS wanted to cheese the brush, but Zoom could probably do this alone. Flash away, but the infected Bonesaw gonna tag him up again. Sonic Wave into the resonating strike, the Haymaker shield, but a couple more autos, and it begins again.
I mean, it doesn't matter who's in the top lane for Ultra Prime. Apparently they just died to Zoom. I don't know. That was weird from ZS. Like, you're fighting in the minion line already. He was losing those trades because the caster creeps had just turned to attack him. And as he said, like, because he goes where he pleases, the CC doesn't hit. So again, just more pressure towards JDG. And it doesn't really matter that Kanavi spent a little bit of time topside because full push bot, full push mid, he's got all the safety of his lanes to make sure he's able to clear this jump.
And like the passive doesn't even matter, right? Because it was a W start, hoping that ZS takes damage and is able to trade it back. But you're right. I mean, it's so odd, so peculiar. And now, look at the CS differential, the top lane. I mean, that's humongous. And even bots already building up. You just notice it there, Dagda. Smlz forced back a little bit in the lane from the poke from Varus. And JDG, the game has just started. People are just on the rift. It's already a 600 gold lead.
I'm not sure what ZS was considering, and the problem was, we highlighted this Sett pick for ZS, right? I was saying coming into it, I actually wanted to see him play more. I thought the games that we'd seen on him thus far against FPX, his engages were clean. They looked really damn good, punishing people who overextended, setting up Ultra Prime, and specifically Smlz for a lot of these team fights, but thus far, last game we didn't get to see him roaming too much from that mid lane. He didn't actually pull the trigger a lot in situations where I felt he could have punished. And now we're getting him in game number 2 already giving across a kill.
And they started with the Bramble Vest as well. Now, remember that Bramble Vest not as strong as it used to be, but you still get that Grievous Wounds, which is very valuable in the Sett laners. Hacker going for an invade. He has a level advantage here over Kanavi and a couple of camps over as well. But Kanavi will get all of the chicken camp. This means big chicken as well to make it 24. So now it's only one. Hacker pushing the mid lane as well, as Yagao's pretty much just cleared out with the ice shards. And Dagda, I mean, this is a good situation. Glacial Path used. Yagao flashes in the Ring of Frost, Sonic Wave, and it is a resonating strike. Hacker can't follow up, and the Frozen Thrall tells Hacker where to stay.
And the lanes are just going disastrously for Ultra Prime. ShiauC not respecting the flash forward, but well played from Yagao. Spotting, hey, look, we've got Kanavi in the wings. I can get this CC, and they managed to pick off the LeBlanc. And is kills going over towards Kanavi, which I actually much prefer in this situation, because Yagao would just hit a cap where he's like, cool, I've got like a lot of burst, but not enough to actually try and finish someone off. Whereas Kanavi, getting towards that quicker gore drinker, he's able to facilitate his lanes more as well with that goal. So I actually like the fact Kanavi was the one who got the kill.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important, right, considering how Kanavi played in game 1. And on his Lee Sin, we know how good he is, how volatile he is as well. But just a big start for JDG. 1,000 gold now feels the difference and is the difference. And even though these lanes are evening out in CS for Ultra Prime, those kills are going to count, they are going to matter. And LvMao, even with bot pushing in, starting to move around Dagda, getting some vision towards his first dragon, which is going to be an Infernal.
Yeah, and you can already see that Kanavi's making his way down there, right? They want to try and make sure they can pick that up. Now, you don't have control here for Yagao in the mid lane, so they're going to try and make a play bot instead to just give themselves that control for the dragon.
But full vision here on Smlz and ShiauC, or rather on LvMao and Kanavi, excuse me. Smlz and ShiauC in the information right now. Poke will continue, but they are able to stay safe and away from Kanavi. So it is good defensive vision setup by Ultra Prime. They did this in game number 1. It was just that top was so chaotic it didn't matter. And even Yagao moving into Fog of War now, just trying to utilize the fact that he has ultimate and that he is a threat for lockdown.
Yeah, it doesn't have, as you said, a lot of mana though. So in an extended fight, not going to be able to do too much. Hacker though doesn't have access to his ultimate, neither does Kanavi. And for Hacker, that's kind of a big difference maker. As okay, nice trade.
Yeah, really good trade. I mean, he has to walk away. LvMao getting zoned away, though. Hacker wants to kill the Naut. Will he have to flash, or is he buying time? He flashes eventually, but Ultra Prime at DP. You may have gotten LvMao, but look, the teleport, Loken's poke, I don't think you want to be here. Smlz trying to add to the trade himself, but Zoom's already in, and he has his ultimate. ZS the same, looking for the showstopper, but a low health bar onto ShiauC means it's a bit risky. He doesn't have teleport, but he will back away safely. Now, I'm just surprised Ultra Prime were able to get out after committing so deep.
Yeah, they were able to just about eke it out. TP coming in, making that big difference maker, but Dragon still goes away, JDG, and the kill went to ShiauC. So it's not like it's having a massive impact, say, for ShiauC, who would love to start trying to get a lead here, seeing if he can play off towards side lanes, get out of this Lissandra matchup, but fortunately for himself, it's a lot of time wasted towards that side lane where he's not actually able to get much from it. And same with Smlz, who is the late game carry here for Ultra Prime, who's going to be trying to threaten Loken in these team fights.
And I think it's important to note what we talked about with Ultra Prime, where even though that top lane started the way it did, Ultra Prime, we talk a lot about their early game because it has been the strongest part. I mean, Ultra Prime have been relying on people like Hacker because Hacker has had that great influence. Here on the Xin Zhao, he has the ability to do so. We just saw it then. He has the CS lead in the jungle. So I think it's someone we need to keep our eye on, considering that this game is now dead even in gold, despite again those 2 kills and the dragon that outweighs it a little bit in JDG's favor.
Yeah, and again, like, the ability for Ultra Prime to kind of bypass Mundo is going to be really, really interesting. It's something that we've seen quite a bit. We already kind of look at like LvMao, who'd be playing frontline, right? Or even the likes of Kanavi, who could be. As ZS, you launch one of them into the team. You got the follow-up bomb coming through from Smlz, and Loken does not survive long in these fights, but we need time for Ultra Prime to get to that point, and the facilitators of buying that time are supposed to be ZS and ShiauC. The ability for Ultra Prime to play through these solo laners, try and press off over to the bot side, help out Smlz, but haven't quite been able to do so. Smlz though now, getting a lot of pressure onto the bot lane turret, and might just do Ziggs things with that satchel charge. Don't forget, Ziggs so damn good at taking these towers if left alone with them.
Yeah, I mean, the passive is the biggest key, right? You know, it's actually not on too big of a cooldown. Short fuse gets that enhanced bomb into the turret. Plus, you mentioned satchel charge with the deletion at, what, 33% or something like that? I can't remember the exact percentage, but you're right. He's doing fine despite the solo lanes even coming down there. Bottom lane, the dragon play, the deep play that we saw from Ultra Prime has enhanced that a little bit. So it is nice to see that Smlz, when he's picking up something that's not seen by many pros as too strong of a pick or be willing to pick right now, that Smlz's doing well on it to start and is pretty close to getting the mythic item.
So just so people are aware, it scales the demolition threshold. It goes from 25% to 35% of the tower's health. So 25% at the moment. So quarter of the damage on that tower just kind of gone. And especially when you don't even have to get that like last turret plate off. You just pop it, rock it, slam it into your pocket. But
nice.
JDG now still trying to press in on towards this bottom side. Lot of members here to try and go for this dive. And Smlz and ShiauC kind of overextended.
They are, as the control ward is there to stop out the blue ward, but it's spotted out. Nice satchel charge from Smlz. He just says nope to the play. And with 4 people down bot, that's it. That's it. Easy as that. Hacker was the only one who had to shadow, and Smlz doesn't get punished.
Just about able to escape away. But again, I like that Ultra Prime are trying to play down towards Smlz. We talk about him being the big carry for Ultra Prime, and when you're able to get these towers and start moving this Ziggs around the map, he becomes really hard to deal with. So Ultra Prime now trying to see if they can get down here, but JDG are well aware of this and constantly moving Yagao here to try and counteract it.
Yeah, making sure that he's always there ready for the ulti. Meanwhile, ShiauC just sitting in his lane farming up. So JDG with all this movement, it feels like at the end of the day, things still going well for Smlz, ShiauC too. Things may have slowed down, but you already talked about the scaling of Ziggs. You already talked about how this comp can work. And the fact that Mundo's not just falling ahead and finding an early Spirit Visage, right? You said it in pick and pan, that if this Mundo's able to itemize early and he's been able to get ahead of the curve, he will be unkillable and a real problem for Ultra Prime to deal with as the game goes on.
Yeah, and look, he did get that nice early lead, but we've, as he's talked about, see the pace of the game slow right the way down. Now, Dragon again in the next 50 seconds. JDG would love to try and get it, and are more than likely going to use this Rift Herald to get Prio mid and then force their way over towards the Dragon.
Let's see what Hacker does, because his response is towards the top side right now. ShiauC there as well. Satchel charge at the ready. He's got it. That means LvMao has no turret. There's the bomb right down onto LvMao's face. Smlz made that an easy kill. Well, okay. Frozen Tomb in the mid lane. Sonic Wave does connect. Glacial Path. No follow-up. Kanavi still has the Herald you talked about. JDG are desperate to make a response play.
I mean, they've just lost their support, right? So at least LvMao should be able to get there just in time for the Dragon, but trying to like get control vision in this river might be difficult. Kanavi now drops down the Rift Herald to just try and get that pushed in, but may not get the chance.
I mean, it's going to hit Hacker for the time being. Ring of Frost is good, but Hacker can just ult here if he wants. Kicked away. They want the charge, but it's back in. Smite it down, and Hacker plays the aggressive game better. It's the Zhao, and of course he's going to take that 2v2.
And that's just Ultra Prime understanding how Lissandra works, right? You don't have the ultimate for Yagao, you don't do a huge amount. So for Hacker, he's perfectly happy to just go aggressive there. Now we talked about, hey look, let's move Smlz around the map. When he gets that first tower, he's already rotated top. And if you start to put pressure as JDG in towards this Dragon, well, you could lose a second turret here to Smlz.
And I love the itemization that he's gone with. Liandry's against a Mundo, Lee Sin, even a Nautilus, right? People that will build HP. Even an Everfrost Lissandra, it's going to be effective against. So Smlz is going to be such a big threat. And even now, zoning away people like Loken, LvMao, with a mana bar that is quite lengthy. Smlz and ShiauC comfortable here, while meanwhile on the bottom side, look at what ZS is doing. Just pushing away at this wave, uncontested.
OTP behind him though.
Will they find it? That's the biggest question here. He has his escape tool in the ulti. It depends on Yagao to lock him down immediately against the wall. Kick there as well. Haymaker shield, and this is perfectly done. No misexecution for now. They do get a face breaker, but Yagao survives. Kanavi with the kill, and they punish ZS while top keeps pushing.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what Hacker's been doing though this whole time. I wanted to see him move down to help ZS as he threatened that turret, but also to start up this Dragon, right? You've got the Mundo in top side, you could have just instantly started this Dragon, forced TPs out, you've got Ziggs TP that was up in just a few moments as well, so the ability to play this map, but Hacker just resets before the Gore Drinker and doesn't really play at the map state. So now you get the kills, you get that Dragon for JDG, when you had the opportunity for Ultra Prime to just slow down the pace of this game that little bit more and buy time for Ziggs.
Yeah, just keep him comfortable in the top lane or even make something further, right? Ultra Prime do have the gold lead here at 14 minutes, but JDG still with the Dragons. And it is going to be a Mountain Soul. A Mundo game, if I've ever seen one, right? You could say Ocean Soul is arguably better, but still, I mean, you're not going too far with Mountain Soul. So something that definitely doesn't want to be given over, because then it makes Smlz's job a little bit harder. It makes the LeBlanc, the Sett, the Zhao, who are going to still be doing damage in the first 25-30 minutes of the game, it makes their job a little bit harder and gives time for JDG in these fights, Dagda.
I have to say, though, Smlz has been doing a wonderful job so far. We kind of, like, if we're looking for places to praise, we already talked about that bot lane turret going down. He's consistently been able to push Loken out of lane. He's now going to reset, but has TP to get back here. So, going to be able to work very quickly towards this Archangel staff, still threatening, are helping Ultra Prime threaten on towards this Rift Herald, and then just returns top, right? There's the TP, and with the turret plates now going down, he's so much pressure towards this tower.
And Hacker, if he can just add down the charge of the Rift Herald, that's an instant satchel charge. So further to your point, I mean, Smlz will be able to get more gold for himself, be more of an influence. ShiauC up here too. Hacker deciding not to go there for now, maybe just because with turret plating down, Smlz should be able to take this. Even zone off with the Hexplosive Minefield. Loken can't stick around, and it's only a wave's time for the Ziggs that clears so freaking quickly. That's the beauty of him. His wave clear is exponential.
It does feel like Hacker is kind of lost, though. He's been moving around, but not getting the huge amount done as ShiauC.
Well, they're going to flash for it. The Frozen Tomb once again. Everfrost now picked up. Easy as that. The CC between the duo. That's also exponential, Dagda, and you're right. The jungler of Ultra Prime looks a little bit lost. Hacker's up top side. Mid's getting dove. Turret goes down. JDG are clawing back, and they've even found a pick on top of Hacker. Depth charge there. Gets a double knockup. Puts ShiauC into the wall. Yagao slows down. The Solar Flare buying time, but it doesn't matter. The Ring of Frost doing a better job as ShiauC flashes over the wall to save his life. And JDG are starting to turn on the tempo, Dagda, while Ultra Prime are trying to find windows.
Yeah, and it feels like a lot of this is just Hacker not really sure what he's supposed to be doing. They move topside, they see the Varus is alone, but Hacker's already left, so they can't go for the dive. Hacker tries to reset, going topside to potentially look for the dive onto Loken, but because he's now caught between River, you just buy the time for JDG to make that play mid, where Hacker also isn't. So you're losing out, as you've rightly pointed out, Hysterics, the tempo timing that you have to make these plays work and fight back against what JDG are doing. However, still, Ziggs did get the Terror top. Actually, it looks like going towards a quick Demonic Embrace as well, so getting more of that percentage health damage for people like the Mundo. So this is a really smart build from Smlz. I'm very much aware of how he can snowball this game.
I mean, he's taken all three turrets. Might not be during plating, but Smlz's definitely, as you said, the one leading the charge. We've talked a lot about him, Dagda. I want you to walk me through the next couple of minutes here, because it will be sole point for JDG if they can pick it up. I want you to walk me through a little bit about setup and what you want to see from these side lanes approaching the next objective.
So the big thing here is trying to get yourself set up in a front-to-back fight if you're looking at the likes of JDG. Because what you want the opportunity to do is Yagao kind of bypassing the front... Oh, hang on.
I don't know. Hacker's coming in. Zoom actually might be able to kill him. Haymaker dodged away from. Ulti already popped here as into the backline. Yagao wants to find himself. He locks down Hacker. LvMao coming in. Doesn't want a dredge line. Autos him. Solar Flare. Everything coming out here. But Ultra Prime are losing this one. As Zoom's running right under the turret. He doesn't care. Mundo goes where he pleases.
Yeah, and you can see there, like, if you're trying to invest all this damage into Mundo, it ain't going to work out. What you need to do as Ultra Prime is get on towards the back line where this damage is going to stick. As you can see there, when Ziggs is able to hit on towards LvMao, Yagao, Loken, that's where the fight can actually swing in their favor. But right now, with Mundo being able to chase them down, there's nowhere for them to go. Dragon in 30 seconds, late resets from JDG. I don't know if Ultra Prime can contest those ShiauC.
And he flashes over. The Lee Sin was going to follow him. This is just the problem, right? Ultra Prime, the side lane is not doing too red hot. The jungle, clueless, you talked about, Dagda. It's going to be a hard game for Smlz to see if it doesn't collapse before he gets towards those 3-4 items where he's going to nuke everyone.
And look, we kind of highlighted at the start of the day is like, is this a factor of schedule, or is this us overestimating what Ultra Prime are going to be capable of? Well, you can kind of see it here, right? These aren't things that are like, oh, you know, they misplayed when it came towards a team fight, or they really stuck it to JDG. It's been mistake after mistake, mispositioning, and I mean, people like Smlz, who are doing a wonderful job, are just kind of looking at their team going, what's happening?
Solar Flare onto Zoom. Does he have maximum dosage? Yes, he does. Pops a pill and immediately goes on in. Yagao into the back line. That positioning from the Lissandra is great. He's on top of Smlz, trying to get the Ice Shard down. Bring a Frost, auto attack as well. The Minefield laid bare. Smlz eventually dies as the Frozen Thralls at the ready. But Ultra Prime have lost on the front, they've lost on the back. And JDG, they just keep pounding him.
They absolutely wiped them there. I don't know how Smlz survived that long, dodging away from so many of those Ice Claws from Yagao, but unfortunately, it's not enough, right? Everything in the kitchen sink is thrown his direction, and he's not able to survive. The rest of JDG, they're too far ahead. 4,000 gold lead, they're just closing out this game. Kanavi now will get that dragon as well, but you see here, we're getting a pro view coming through. Like, I don't get the flash. You're kind of doomed.
Yep.
It means that you just end up in this situation where you're now flashless for this fight. Remember what we said from JDG? We want to see them set up in a front-to-back fight where we can get Yagao to have access to the backline. That's exactly what happened. Smlz gets locked up. He's so busy trying to deal with Yagao, and he did wonderful here, right? Look at how many times he sidestepped these Ice Claws. Like, he had his fancy feet on point there, but no damage to burst at Yagao. ShiauC isn't able to help him out, and that means Smlz goes down, and all the damage on Ultra Prime goes with it.
I mean, I feel like Smlz's been one of the best performing members of Ultra Prime. I think this series, absolutely. Smlz's been great as well. He's returned to the Rift finally, an AD carry who, when he was on Rogue Warriors, when he was in that bottom lane with Killua, even then, Smlz had great moments. I remember they were the team that we expected to go to Worlds as the 3rd seed in 2018. That's right. But were trumped by EDG. Smlz is a player who's always had that reputation within the LPL. He's been an old school player. He's been someone who we want to see in the world stage. But Smlz here this time around, a little bit of trouble from the team. The soul lane is falling far behind. JDG taking outer turrets as the Ziggs just trying to wave clear, get that tier upgraded to a Seraph's Embrace Dagda because he has the Demonic Embrace now. But Smlz is going to be dove so much easier with a Mundo that can run it in, with Yagao who's on 2 items with his Zhonyas, Prowler's Claw on Loken. It's going to be a hard game for Ziggs.
Yeah, and like the way that Ultra Prime would love to have these fights play out, right, is ShiauC goes in, almost instantly bursts Loken, and you just get the follow-up from Smlz. Tosses that bomb over the top, you finish off the AD carry for JDG, and then you're in a much better position where you instantly have this 4 versus 5. But we're not getting that opportunity here because you always see Ultra Prime on the back foot. And for champions like Sett, Zhao, LeBlanc, this is not the position you want to be in. They always do better when they're the ones that are aggressing forward. Otherwise, they just go forward, get burst out, and they just get wiped by their opponent.
Because what target are they going to look at, right? Lissandra, Mundo, Lee Sin. You're hoping that you can get the Varus, but there's a lot of people in front of him that's going to make it difficult for you to close that gap. So if Loken dies, even then, a lot of the damage comes from these bruisers. The AP Mage Bruiser, who has Everfrost and Zhonya's I talked about before. As even towards mid lane, look at this. Permafrost, are you ready? Well, Everfrost it is, excuse me. Yagao goes golden in the nick of time. They actually get out, and the deep TP is going to work out for Ultra Prime and ZS into the back line after Yagao drops on down. The face breaker in onto LvMao to pick them apart by the pieces. LvMao sent over to his top laner, and Zoom now doesn't have much of an impact at the fight as Kanavi gets to the back line, and again, shouts out, Bao's gone. Flashed away from the Zenith blade. Kanavi trying his heart out here, Dagda.
Yeah, but look, Smlz, he cannot damage Zoom. Zoom is untouchable right now, and even though he wasn't in the fight,
here we go.
Angry.
Hard sapper time as well. Zoom still has maximum dosage, ready to throw out his ukuleles. Best Mundo skin, makes a crack every time he throws one into someone. And Zoom, you're right, Dagda. How do you do it? How do you kill him?
It's a very good question, and one that we kind of already said. Now, again, mid-game mistakes from JDG, right? Yagao going too deep, tries to burst out ShiauC, who stays alive. He gets burst out himself, but Kanavi able to bring this one back. We're going to catch in the replay here. Yagao may have, I'm not sure if it was like a misclick, where you can see where he tried to get on towards Smlz, but ends up taking ShiauC, which ends up costing him his life. ZS gets a great engage here, but Zoom moving up towards from the bottom side. And once Zoom joins, you're not really able to do too much. ShiauC again, really not the best positioning. Kanavi able to catch on towards him and at least bring that kill back for JDG.
I just love the safeguard into Q to get the distance. I mean, Kanavi this series again. Game 1, exceptional. Game 2, this Lee Sin is sick. Kanavi, one of the best Lee Sins when he's in form. It's a good sign for JDG, it really is. However, you're right, you know, Yagao there, a little bit of a misplay. He wanted Smlz, but Smlz got out of range. And the fight became close. But JDG still have a 4K gold lead. They are up to Soul now, Dagda. 30 seconds, and they're controlling the bottom side. Lack of vision for Ultra Prime. They have to walk into this team that is starting to poke more and more, that has a lot of CC to chain anyone they pick.
The problem for Ultra Prime, though, is that a lot of their damage is kind of damage over time. Because you look at, like, Demonic Embrace, the Andrew's Anguish. To get through Mundo, it takes a lot of those ticks to come through. You look towards, like, Hacker, he needs to consistently churn out this damage. Same when you look, well, not so much ZS, but certainly, like, you need time for this damage to come across. And when you've got Zoom, who's healing so much, you've got a lot of burst potential coming through from JDG. That's a luxury they may not be able to afford.
He's just running into the hole of Ultra Prime. Granted, they haven't attacked him yet, as ShiauC spotted over the wall, but goes where he pleases now, popped here on the passive. That means CC will be effective here on the Mundo. 5 versus 5, Ultra Prime on the bottom of your screen, but Dragon is drawn up to the top side. Yagao into the middle of it though, Chains of Corruption too, and there's the Dragon. Soul given over to a Mundo who goes golden, and so does Yagao. The tomb laid bare, the face breaker not even there, and Zoom now ready to run him down. LvMao on the side as well. Look at Hacker trying to bring it back, but it's all too late. Loken on the chase. Smlz getting hit by music, man. Put that right into your ears. As Hacker is so not long for the world if they can catch up. Kanavi does. Sonic Wave. TP time. And Yagao will help assist for the final kill of the fight.
And JDG can just turn their attention over towards this Baron. They have got the Soul. They've got the Baron. They got the team fight win. And there's just not enough damage on Ultra Prime's side to get through JDG.
Too. I asked this about 10 minutes ago, Dagda. I mean, Zoom just doesn't die. I'm ready to watch this play, though. Does he have the maximum dosage? No. We will find out. No. But goes where his pleases is there.
You don't kill him.
ShiauC not doing enough. ShiauC coming in. Teleport, Dagda. You're saying stop, but Ultra Prime like, let's do it. Doesn't matter. His ulti not available. Solar Flare there. The Heart Zapper as well gives a bit of HP regen. Grey Health comes back. He is going to die here because the ulti was not available. But Dagda, it took 4 people.
It took 4 people. And the fact that Zoom's ultimate wasn't up. Now Kanavi actually get a kill back for himself, looking for Hacker. Not able to connect the Sonic Wave, but Zoom's ultimate was like 2 seconds from coming up and available. If that was available, I think he kills ShiauC and just walks out of that.
Yeah, I think he does too. And now he has warm-ups. He didn't have it in the last plays. I thought we were going to replay Zoom 1v4, but we do look at the fight where Ultra Prime were nowhere near the Dragon and couldn't get the seal.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the positioning here from Ultra Prime. Like, moving into the pit there as a 3-man unit was really bizarre. I mean, you can see here from ZS, right? He's not actually doing anything. Eventually flashes in onto Kanavi, but the fight's already done and dusted. I was talking about already, the Mundo is who you actually want to be tossing back into the team, especially after you get rid of the goes where he pleases. But here we go, Smlz. He's done for. Zoom is tombing, and there's just nothing that Ultra Prime can do.
I'm curious to see the raw stats of Zoom after the play as well, after the Warmogs. The Mountain Soul acquired as well, so the front line gets that shield. Plus, remember, Mundo still has good armor, good MR. Yep, Dagda, I mean, he's 3.5 items strong, 246 CS here. And sitting right mid, while the rest of JDG using the Baron buff wisely, hitting the side lane here. Don't worry about top. I mean, Ultra Prime have to pay their attention to one of these 2 lanes.
I mean, poke from Varus is going to be obnoxious. The wave clear from Smlz can try its damnedest, but Baron Duck creeps make it a little bit tough. Loken, not going to be caught out there.
Now the engage for LvMao wants to finish the series. Yagao flashes in with the Ring of Frost. Kicked again from Kanavi. The Haymaker absolutely fantastic, but Loken hitting in the back line. And once again, Zoom's back to full health. It doesn't matter. He'll have a Warmogs and he'll quick regen. As with the Baron minions, Dagda, JDG will not be stopping.
It's kind of done and dusted here. Zoom
Look at him.
is just playing with this food. God damn. He's just standing there. They can't even kill him.
This is entertaining. Ignite's put down, but he's just used the maximum dosage once again. He'll sit here, he'll have a bit of a laugh, and for JDG, unkillable is this comp right now, as in 29 minutes, much like the first game, they'll take down Ultra Prime, and they'll look pretty good doing it.
A swift 2-0 coming through from JDG, where Zoom monstrous on this Mundo. Yagao, great performance on this Lissandra to try and pick people off, and Kanavi showing why he was last year considered the best Lee Sin in the world. And I will say that spot's a little bit more contested this year, but he's especially a damn good one.
It was considered the best jungler, right? Keeping it to the region. I think he was considered the best LPL jungler 2020 spring, 2020 summer for the most part. It has been a long time coming to see Kanavi back in solid form. And granted, we've seen some series where JDG haven't looked that bad. It's just always been about the consistency, right? It's been looking at them against V5 that we had a lot of questions. JDG, they got slaughtered in their own lanes. But this time around against Ultra Prime, which are a weaker opponent, JDG showed exactly what they needed to show, that they are still looked at as a playoff team. And sitting 4-3 now, that conversation resurfaces. And for JDG, it is a good week 4, considering this is their only best of 3.
Yeah, and for them, they'll be pretty happy that they were able to pick up the win, but you can see some missteps coming in that mid game where they go in that bit too far aggressive, LvMao getting caught out, Loken getting caught out, but I still think this was a very, very strong performance in this second game where it was far more on point. The team fighting was looking better, and I love the draft as well. Just kind of going, hey, look, you're opting into this double AP carry where your mid laner is a LeBlanc. The Ziggs is not going to be doing enough to try and get through Mundo. And he's even got a decent matchup in the top lane. Like, what? He killed ZS and everyone alongside Kanavi again. I mean, come on.
It was just a rinse and repeat. Like you said at the start of that game, it doesn't matter who was in the top lane. If they wanted to swap the Orianna into it in game 1, or if they wanted to put ZS on Sett up there, they still got the kill up towards the top enemy laner. So it was a lot of entertainment watching that series back, Dagda. The Ultra Prime we've been talking about is now 1-6, and it does to me feel like Ultra Prime, you know, they had a surprising start to the split. We were hyped up, but have kind of relegated themselves to being a bottom tier team, and it feels like, to me, that is where they'll stay.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they've gotten figured out at this stage, right? Hacker, unfortunately, not able to have a consistently strong jungle matchup means that he's losing out in the jungle. Smlz, as you rightly say, is the carry for the team. And when the drafts are putting so much attention down towards the bottom lane, getting rid of picks for ShiauC, you can see on your screen, getting rid of the Ezreal there as well for Smlz, you've removed through Thresh and Tahm Kench things like the Jinx, things like the Aphelios, now the Ezreal. You're starting to just cramp down on this bottom lane, and it means that now Ultra Prime don't really have these big carry performances that we can see. Smlz tried his damnedest this game. Honestly, I think Smlz played spectacularly this game. Yep, they just wasn't given the tools that he needed to actually carry against JDG.
I love when Smlz is in form, and it feels like this split, I would say he is, despite being on the team Ultra Prime that are now 1-6. Kanavi picks up MVP, by the way. I don't think that's a surprise to many of you. You could give it to someone like Yagao after the early lane, but dude, Kanavi, 6 MVPs. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, right? It does feel like Kanavi is coming back because 6 MVPs. I'm going to scroll down, Dagda. Icon is the only other player that has 6 MVPs. So Kanavi is now tied first for MVPs in 2021 summer.
Yeah, and we've highlighted him already, right? We said, look, when Kanavi's on form, JDG look a hell of a lot better, and a lot of it has been him playing through the solo lanes and making sure that they are set up for success, but it is Kanavi who's been able to set up a huge amount of these, and we're seeing him transition in towards that more gank heavy style, working incredibly well with the likes of Yagao and Zoom to get these early kills and trying to power through into that mid game, because before, if you look at spring 2021, JDG's early game was pretty negligible, almost non-existent. So the fact we're seeing him now coming out with picks like the Lee Sin, the Diana that we saw him on the last game, and having big performances is helping JDG solidify a much better early game, which is then lending itself to a stronger mid game.
And I think the biggest thing is, like, it starts with that early game, because when Kanavi's in form, when that structure's there, something that I was talking about with LGD is it feels like JDG have a lot more options. Kanavi able to carry? Well, what do they play through the side lanes? The champion pool expands again. Maybe the meta's doing a U-turn. Maybe for Kanavi, it's just a better split. But the one thing I know for sure is that when Kanavi's doing better, JDG as a whole look better. So I'm really excited for the progression path here. And I've just been told, in a rarity, I don't know what it is to split Dagda, but we're getting the true MVPs. Kanavi is standing by with Wendy for an MVP. We clap to that. We clap to that.